Startling pictures have emerged out of the New South Wales mid-north coast where a 25-year-old surfer was attacked by a great white. The man's family are crediting his survival to a group of surgeons who were holidaying in the area and happened to be on the beach at the same time.
Mauled by a shark, but this surfer is a survivor. Joe Hoffman is carefully unloaded at Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital, airlifted from Crescent Head. The 25-year-old was surfing yesterday afternoon when he was attacked by a 3-metre great white.
He was in a lot of shock. He was pretty responsive. Obviously, it was a pretty traumatic injury.
Joe was bitten on the arm but managed to paddle back to shore.
Pretty bad injury by the looks of it. Looks like it tore a fair bit chunk out of his bicep and that. There was a lot of blood.
He was being brought across the bridge on a surfboard, by 3 or 4 other surfers.
Dozens of beachgoers helped to stop the bleeding.
One of the locals applied a leg rope tourniquet and that's potentially what saved this guy's life.
Joe underwent surgery and doctors saved his arm. Today, his family said there's no escaping that the trauma he suffered is serious. Some of those who helped to save Joe Hoffman's life work here at the hospital where he's currently being treated. Off-duty trauma surgeons were holidaying at Crescent Head and were on the beach when Joe was attacked. We're grateful that our son is still with us. If those people didn't act in the way they had, Joe would not have survived. Today, the beaches at Crescent Head remained closed, but some took the chance.
A rescue mission has played out north of Adelaide where a worker became trapped, buried up to his chest in a collapsed trench. From there, a delicate mission to dig him out fast enough to beat his body giving up, but slow enough to ensure neither he nor his rescuers were buried alive.
A race against time, panicked workers alongside emergency responders digging with shovels and hands to free their colleague. Buried in a trench, his legs stuck when it caved in on him 2 metres down.
He was covered in soil and mud and clay up to his chest.
Contractors were working on the Gawler train line electrification project at Dry Creek when the terrifying collapse happened. The 40-year-old man inside the trench when it closed in on him just after midday.
His legs were actually in the squatting position when covered in the dirt.
He was entrapped pretty much up to his waist, and that's tonnes of pressure down on his legs.
Freeing him was 40 minutes of solid work, aided by an industrial vacuum which fortunately was already on site.
We used the vacuum and the high pressure hose to actually squirt the mud off him and suck it out. There was a danger that we had to watch out for our crews, that they weren't also trapped there.
And fears were also growing he was getting crushed by the heavy pressure of the clay and water. The time it took to free him, crucial.
The problem with being compressed for such a long period of time is that you start to develop symptoms of crush syndrome, so it can be potentially life-threatening.
From frantic efforts, eventually pure relief. The worker pulled carefully from his plight, stressed and covered in mud, but better than his rescuers imagined. Safe in the hands of paramedics and rushed to hospital.
Yeah, so he was pretty anxious and a bit of distress.
As we got him out, he was in quite good condition. This is what we trained for, and it worked.